Hey everyone, today I'm going to be reviewing the new Pig Destroyer release, Bookburner. Pig Destroyer are a Deathgrind band from Virginia in the USA. This is their fifth full-length studio album, and over the course of their discography they have made a name for themselves within the genre of deathgrind, grindcore, death metal, extreme metal, whatever you want to call it, and they are considered to have some of the best releases within the genre and, like I said, extreme metal as a whole. Personally, I'm actually new to this band, and this is the first album I've picked up by them. So anyway, on to Bookburner. The album opens up with pretty much 4 straight up grindcore tracks, and it just keeps up the pace and intensity. It doesn't really let up at all. Within these tracks, the pacing does alter a fair bit, given the occasional nod to hardcore punk, especially towards the end of the song Eve. But the death metal doesn't really shine through that much. There are slight hints of it, but the first time you really get the death metal in full force is on the song The Diplomat. This track is also the first song to break the 1 minute 30 mark, and it's just short of 3 minutes. It's an incredibly attention-grabbing opening, with a great riff and some really nice double bass drumming that really keeps things rolling. I will also say this track has a super down and dirty feel to it, which I'm really digging. There is some excellent drumming, and it's just a great performance in general from the band on this track. The next track, The All-Seeing Eye, has some really great riffing considering it's just 42 seconds long. After this, the track Valley of the Geysers really demonstrates some tight interplay, which is something that actually becomes clearer and more evident the more you listen to this album as a whole. I'm loving the fact that this album has some really nice interplay between members, and also it can really keep up the high intensity, whether it's going straight out death metal riffing or just blasting. However, again on multiple listens, I do feel like the intensity does wear off on certain tracks, especially, more so the grindcore ones admittedly, but there you go. A couple of examples would be tracks like The Underground Man, The All-Seeing Eye, White Lady, and they just kind of become a blur that really fly by and burn themselves out. Having said that, the one thing I was happy about, on the whole, was the, like I said, the great interplay and the great riffs that you can really stand back and just observe after the intensity of the record really wears off and go, there's some pretty good riffs. They're well written, they're placed well, fair play. Another thing I wanted to mention about this album is the narration on tracks like The Bug and Baltimore Strangler. I feel they really add to the album and assist in telling this story of the Bookburners, which is a really nice addition to the album as a whole. I love the concept of this album and I think it really brings it into a new light for me. I definitely feel this album picks up after the track The Bug, and they are fitting more into each song, more riffs, more structure, just more. For example, the track Burning Palm has a ton of great riffs organised in a really nice way. The song straight after, Dirty Knife, has some very interesting drumming that really emphasises the guitar work, and it's really stand out on this track. There's some great guitar riffs and guitar work on this track. The song Kamikaze Heart really opens with a great wall of sound effect. It has some very down and dirty grinding guitar and blast beats. Once it slows down, there's some nice grooves that the band lays down, and they are really great, admittedly, like a lot of this album. The song closes on the 4-minute deathgrind beast that is Permanent Funeral. It pretty much sums up all the good aspects of this album, the great riffs, the brutal blasts, and it ends on some very nice riffing and great jamming by some drums over the top of it that eventually fade out. On the whole, I feel like if you already know you enjoy death metal and grindcore, then you'll love this album, no doubt. It has a lot of the qualities that make those two genres great. It has an interesting story to tell. All I'll say is don't expect this album to reinvent the wheel. I will say I felt it was an enjoyable listen. I did feel like the intensity wore off after multiple listens. Also, most grindcore bands don't have a bass player, and generally a good grindcore band will not let that show by keeping the intensity super high for the whole record and allowing their energy and their playing energy to really make up for it. I do feel like a couple of these tracks, not too many mind, but a couple, sounded like Pig Destroyer were just missing a bass guitarist. It was generally for the slower, riffier parts of the songs. My last tiny little gripe is I do also feel this album is just a tiny bit too long for what it is. Again, having said that, it's a very enjoyable record, and I'm sure a lot of you will appreciate it. It doesn't feel boring or flat. It's upbeat, aggressive, and well paced. I'm going to give this album a 6 to a 6.5 out of 10. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys and gals later.